A new plan is in our borough to reduce poverty. It's been introduced by the Children's Aid Society as part of an initiative. And here now to tell us a little bit more, we welcome now the Director of Collective Impact at the Society, Abe Fernandez. And Abe, good to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
When we talk about the borough of the Bronx, obviously 1.4 million people. We've got a lot of people out here. And it's really hard to fathom, but it is so true. A lot of people have been plagued by this poverty problem and epidemic that we're dealing with. You guys are at the forefront of really trying to address some of that issue, and so why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on?
Sure, absolutely. So exactly right. As of 2010, the census revealed that the South Bronx is in fact the poorest congressional district in the country. So we do have many issues here in the South Bronx related to poverty. There are many reasons why. But I think it's true that many folks have been working on trying to help families and adults and children work through the issues that poverty seems to bring. Children's Aid Society has been around for a very long time. We've been in New York City since 1853. We've been in the Bronx for the last 15, 16 years. And we came to the Bronx because we knew that there's a lot of need here. And we bring lots of programs and supports, including after-school programs and early childhood and healthcare, a wide range of supports for kids and families. And we know that we are doing great work, but we can't solve this problem by ourselves. And so we're looking to work with many partners across the borough to identify the barriers that adults and families and children are facing, and to identify some solutions to meet those needs.
And so we have a new poverty reduction initiative that's made possible by a $2.7 million grant from the New York State Assembly, and that's going to get you guys going?
That's right. So we are really thrilled that the Bronx Borough President identified Children's Aid as the lead partner in this new initiative. It is a statewide initiative called the Empire State Poverty Reduction Initiative. The Bronx now joins 15 other communities across the state that are working on this. There are a couple of phases of work. The first phase is really already kicked off, and the idea is to pull together a task force of individuals, organizations who know a lot about this borough, know a lot about the issues that families and adults in poverty are facing, and we're going to together identify some solutions, some priorities, and figure out a plan that will be released around March of 2017. The second phase kicks off at that point. Once we have a plan, we'll implement that plan as a community, and then that will take us through another year or so of implementation. We're not going to eradicate poverty in a couple of years, we know that. So to your point, it really is a starting point for us to bring as many stakeholders together as possible to both identify where the challenges are, but also to implement some solutions.
And what are we hearing so far? What are we hearing from, by way of the poverty initiative?
Sure. I mean, I think we're really just getting started. So right now, we're just pulling together groups of people that are going to help inform it. But I think, there are many issues we want to look at. We want to look at education. We want to look at what's happening with employment. We want to look at what's happening with housing. We want to look at, the kinds of supports that families who don't always know where to turn to, how to get those supports in their hands. One thing we've learned from our work doing direct service in the Bronx, but also through a project called South Bronx Rising Together, is that many families told us that one reason why we've struggled a little bit in the Bronx is that many people are looking for their first opportunity to leave the Bronx. Mm-hmm. They don't see it as a place they want to stick around and live in and send their kids to school. So if we can transform that relationship that families and children have to this community, we think that'll make a pretty big difference. We want people to feel really proud to be in the Bronx.
And so when we talk about being in the borough of the Bronx, we know that this is one of the major challenges that we have. In addition to homelessness, poverty is really a major initiative. So gathering these stakeholders together, let's talk about that for a minute. How's that going in terms of reaching out, and who are you really looking to talk to?
We want to talk to everybody. In fact, I mean, honestly, we really want to make sure that anyone who feels like they can inform this process has a role, has a seat at the table, if you will. So we're talking about nonprofit organizations, government elected officials, residents themselves, families. We especially want to make sure that we are reaching people who are affected by poverty directly. We want to make sure that those voices are really front and center as we begin to think about this. So over a period of months, really weeks to start, but over months, we'll have many opportunities to engage folks in different ways, both to identify what's going on, but also to say, all right, now that we know what's happening, we're going to look at some data. What's the story behind the data?
Right.
And also, what are the solutions that seem to be working? I mean, one thing I want to point out is that there are some really, really good things happening in this borough, and we want to lift those. We want to lift those things up. We call them bright spots, and figure out how to spread those good ideas and practices throughout the borough.
Yeah, because there's a lot of great things that are happening actually here. So give us a timeline now of what we can expect.
So the first phase takes us from now till about March 1 of 2017, and phase 2 is past that point for about a year. But we know it's going to be many, many years of work, and the hope is that we can get some quick wins early on that sort of catapult us towards some longer work down the road.
So you cannot just leave us hanging. You got to come back and share a little bit more with us.
We would love to do that, absolutely.
All righty?
Excellent.
Great. Avi Fernandez here talking about the Poverty Initiative right here, the Children's Aid Society. Now, if people want to know how to get in touch with you, Children's Aid Society?
.org, that's right.
There you go. So children'saidsociety.org. You can get in touch with Avi or anybody in regards to this Poverty Initiative. Well, we got to take a quick break. More show coming up right after this. We encourage you, don't go anywhere. Coming right back.